Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
Oh my goodness, the burning question of the day. Here it is. How do you keep a redneck busy for a month? You give him a bag of M&Ms and tell him to alphabetize them. I love that. Morning, morning. Here comes Kate Smith and God Bless America, followed by a patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning, everybody. And a good morning to you and yours, Zeb at the Ranch, right here on KBAR 1230, and then streaming live on the internet all over the world on ZebBell.com. And, of course, our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, along with some of our great advertisers like Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. You call them at 734-6969. Right now, let's go to the phone line and have our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning.
Good morning, and thank you, Zeb. Nice to talk to you again.
Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You know, I always appreciate hearing from you, and thank you for a job well done. God bless and have a wonderful day.
You too, Zeb.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. Time for the weather. And the weather brought to you by KNR Rental at 256 South, 600 west of Heyburn. Roger and the whole crew, man, they get there early in the morning. They open up at 7 o'clock till 5:30, and Saturday 7 to 6. You better get in there and check out all the great tool and equipment rentals. They've got everything from forklifts to lawnmowers, and they've been in business since 1979, so they've got all the experience, too, at K&R Rental. And right now, here's the lovely Gina with our weather.
Weather for today, we do have it's going to be hazy outside. We are in a bad air quality advisory, and so if you have some upper respiratory issues, please make note of that. Otherwise, partly cloudy skies for today. Looking at a high of 83 tonight. Still going to be hazy and smoky with a low of 58 for tomorrow. We do have a slight chance of rain showers or thunderstorms in the afternoon with a high of 83, clearing out for tomorrow night with a low of 57. Hopefully by Wednesday, a lot of the smoke will have dissipated from our area. Sunny skies and 86. Right now we're sitting at 64. Hey, Zeb, can you do me a favor? I am going to play some music, and if you could call and reestablish because you are, like, cracking up really bad.
All right, I appreciate it. I'll call you right back. I don't know what's the matter with our phone line, but I'll call you right back. Thank you, Gina. Thank you. By the way, we'll pick up right where we left off. KNR Rental sponsoring our weather at 256 South, 600 west of Heyburn, 678-3122. Let's say a couple of things here first and foremost before I get into the swing of the program this morning. Our little buddy, Damon, better known as Wheels, is not doing real well, and so he's got a couple of days off, and we certainly hope that his health improves and that he's able to come back into the studio in the next day or so. But I would like everybody to issue kind of a thoughtful little prayer for Wheels because we miss him, and filling in for him and always doing a very more than adequate job is Gina. Gina, anything you want to add to that deal about Wheels?
No, I'm just waiting to hear back from him. As I'm hoping that he will be able to be back in studio tomorrow. But prayers are always needed for Wheels, and so if he's listening, little buddy, get better.
Amen. men. Thank you, Gina, and it's always nice to have you aboard the ship. Don't jump off, please. I appreciate it.
Never will.
Hey, Daryl's Cleaners, you know those folks. They're always there to serve you with the best of dry cleaning and the longevity of your clothes. My goodness sakes, and they'll even do your washing. What? Yes, they will. They'll wash, dry, fold, and iron all your clothes, and what a service to you. I know you're busy. I know you don't have time to take care of that sack of old dirty rumply clumplies. They can take care of them for you. So don't forget Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley, waiting right this minute to serve you. Want to remind you the Cassia County Fair is going to be off and running August the 12th through the 19th. Holy buckets, have they got a lot of things planned over there, including a great big concert that's going to be on Saturday, August 12th, and this is going to be a ripping good concert. You better get your tickets with Aaron Watson and Ned Ledoux. Oh, I know both of those guys, and they can whip up a storm on their guitars and their singing, and I'll tell you what, you're going to really enjoy it. So get your tickets right now for the Cassia County Fair and Rodeo concert with Aaron Watson and Ned Ledoux on Saturday, August 12th. Don't you miss it. And all the activities at your Cassia County Fair and Rodeo. I want to take just a moment, if I may, and say a big thank you to some people that absolutely treated my wife and I. I've never been treated better by anybody anywhere, and I mean that. And I want to say thank you to the Minidoka County Fair Board. They absolutely were the nicest people. Fantastic hospitality this past weekend. Dan Kindig and the entire board, and old Greg Walton talked me out of retirement to come over there and announce their open rodeo. And I just want to say the friendliest folks and so nice. I just thoroughly enjoyed myself. So hats off to the Minidoka County Fair. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Hey, don't forget our friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric, and they're located at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. The number to call, 678-0459. They have all your heating, cooling, and electrical needs, and right now, these temperatures aren't really going down. I mean, we're still looking. Yesterday was so hot and muggy and smoky and ugly, and that air conditioning unit, keep it clean with nice fresh air filters you can buy right there at Ramsey Heating and Electric, 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley, where they provide warm winters and very cool summers. Really good folks. We're going to be talking about the state of Maryland in just a moment, so stand by. But first and foremost, I want to remind you about Denny's Restaurant. Oh, my. Breakfast anytime, all the time. I love it. I'll tell you my favorite meal of the day. And I'm bragging about breakfast, but they got so many different pancake breakfast choices. My favorite of all time is that strawberry cream pancakes. Oh, dynamite. You're going to love it. Denny's Restaurant is America's Diner at 611 North Overland at Burley, and then also 291 Poline Road in Twin Falls. Super nice people. Absolutely delicious menu at Denny's Restaurant, America's Diner. You stop in and see those good folks today. The state of Maryland is, I don't know why these states are testing and breaking and then testing again and breaking more of our laws. As of this morning, the state of Maryland wants to give voting rights to illegal aliens. Now, you can't make this stuff up. They want to give voting rights to illegal aliens for, at first, in-state elections. And you know as well as I do that once this ball starts rolling down the alley, it's going to hit all the pins eventually. And the rest of us, the United States, we should be absolutely outraged. Every one of you should be outraged. This is against the law. It goes against anything and everything that our citizenship requires and stands for, along with our Constitution. And to give voting rights to illegal aliens, I don't care if it's for dog catcher. It's absolutely wrong. And nobody should be able to accept this. the city of Chicago, Illinois, San Francisco, California, New York City, all of these people are testing, bending, and breaking the law. Now, the Trump administration, they say they're going to crack down on sanctuary cities, which is good. But Rahm Emanuel and the rest of his cohorts in Chicago, they're fighting for the status and the saving and enhancement of sanctuary cities. Complete chaos, more murders in that city than New York and L.A. combined this year. And the chaos and the sanctuary city status, absolutely a growing cancer. What are your thoughts? Give me a call about Maryland trying to push and promote voting rights for illegal aliens and the rest of this mess. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Come on, please, I would love to hear from you. By the way, also, we want to acknowledge the fact of our Cassia merchants that are saying, come on over to the Cassia County Fair and Rodeo. And they include Streamline Precision at 120 South, 100 West of Burley with Tim Vaughn and the crew. Let me tell you, that is one of the nicest people I have ever met in my life. And along with Streamline Precision, I bit my tongue. And they would like to thank all the policemen and the firemen that protect us, and also good luck to all the 4-H and the FFAers. Everybody, enjoy the Fair and Rodeo on behalf of Streamline Precision, 120 South, 100 West of Burley. Tim and the crew welcome you. Along with also Magic Valley Irrigation. Boy, these are great folks at 44 East, 500 South of Burley. Jeff and the crew at Magic Valley Irrigation, they just absolutely want to thank all the farmers and ranchers for what they do. And Magic Valley Irrigation has been offering irrigation system service and repair since 1978. South of Burley, Magic Valley Irrigation. And AMI at 719 Overland and Burley. Look for the big 28-foot wrench over the door. You'll go nuts over their bolts. I love that. And really good people over there at AMI, welcoming you to the Cassia County Fair and Rodeo. Thank you, AMI. All right, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Really, what are your thoughts about the chaos that has erupted in this country thanks to our larger cities? We're talking about Baltimore, Maryland. We're talking about San Francisco. We're talking about Chicago, New York. All of these towns that basically want to literally kick the system and do things their way illegally. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, sir.
What do you think, buddy?
Well, I think if they want to do it their way, then they can pay for it their way. Why should I have to pay for what they want to do? And it gripes me taking tax dollars to sue the government to get tax dollars.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about a waste.
You know, I got to tell you something, Doug. Over the weekend, my wife and I were just treated with some wonderful people over in Minidoka County. And I got away from all the hubbub and the garbage of what's going on in the world. And yesterday when I tried to do my updates on various news stories for this morning's program, and then I read these things about Maryland. They're going to buck the system and our Constitution, and they're basically going to throw the finger of fate at our government with possible voting for illegal aliens, and Chicago and San Francisco and all these other towns. What is going on with America?
We're losing it. Liberalism is trying to take it over. And that's how you do it.
Well,
go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, if somebody wants to go out there this morning and make a phone call to me on the air, if you've got the backbone and the spine to promote socialism in this country as compared to what's going on with the utter chaos, destruction, killing, and beating that's going on in Venezuela, holy smokes, you must absolutely have your brain packed in a suitcase someplace.
Well, they're not using it. If they can show me one country in the history of the world, which has been around a long time, one country where socialism worked, where it succeeded and helped everybody, then I'll listen to them. And that's why they're rewriting the history books. That's why they're not teaching the Holocaust and stuff anymore, and why they're trying to change the Southern, the rebel flag, and all the slavery and everything, you know. That's why they're trying to change it, so the kids won't know about it and make the same mistake.
Well, Doug, there's a whitewashing going on, and I'm going to use that terminology, whitewashing. They're painting over our history. They're painting over our Constitution. They're painting over the laws and regulatory means and methods of a civilized society that has led the world for over 200 years. And we're, the people, we're not standing up and saying enough, and we're not crushing, and I mean this word, we're not crushing this insurrection like a bug.
That's what we should be doing. We should be just stepping on it, just like you would a cockroach or something like that. You just step on it to eliminate it.
Absolutely.
We're not doing it. We're too passive.
You know, we
start fighting back.
You know, we can criticize, and I want other callers to chime in on this, but we can criticize the Republican Party for not having a backbone, which is true, and they've taken office and they control the Senate, the House, and the Oval Office, and they're not doing one doggone thing like they said they would get through. But really, Doug, it's the American people that should be held accountable, because we're not standing up for what this country is and what the laws are.
Right. We're not standing up, and we're not holding their feet to the fire, the politicians who we elected back there. We need to hold them to the fire. I mean, by just sitting by and letting it go, oh, well, and talking about it in a coffee shop isn't going to fix it.
No, and to think that we're talking about 10 years ago, honestly, 10 years ago, and I got to do a commercial break right after this, but 10 years ago, if you and I were talking about a state of Maryland and Baltimore and other big towns in Maryland that want to force and coerce illegally the voting rights for illegal aliens, we would have scoffed at that and laughed at it, and it never would have come to fruition.
Exactly. And, hey, Zeb, I can hold on through your commercial, but I got something I need to talk to you about the veterans and what's going on at that VA veteran facility up there in Pocatello, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, real quick, I'll come back after this commercial, but also I'm having a little hard time hearing you through the headset, so stand by just a minute, Doug. I'll be right there. Want to remind everybody about Burley Physical Therapy, and oh, are they good. I was bragging about them last week when I had Nick on the phone, and Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, they have done so much to help me, and with that hydrotherapy pool, oh my goodness, the muscles, the exercises really got me back on top. I was really on a downhill slide after those operations, and boy did they help. They can help you just like me. They can help you get back to being you. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. The best, with the best of physical therapists, exercises, and as I said, that hydrotherapy pool. You get a hold of them today with an appointment. 678-1191, Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. Doug, go ahead real quick.
Well, I'd like anybody out there that can help me. My shop number over here is 878-4991. My uncle is in the VA Extended Care Center up in Pocatello.
Right.
And they are charging him $5,500 a month, plus $200 and some dollars a month for his medication.
Wow.
The man is 70-some years old. He was in the military during the Korean War. He drew out north and turned a bunch of sagebrush and rocks into a farm where he made a living.
Yeah.
And when he sold it, he had some money and saved. So now they're wanting him. The only way they're going to help him is when all of his money's gone, he has a house. When it is sold and all that money's gone, then they will help him. And I think this is a travesty.
I'm just sitting here shaking my head that literally government means and ways are telling people, okay, you go broke. You lose everything you have. Oh, and then we'll treat you as a government aid, and we'll finance the rest of your life, limited as it may be. This is despicable.
It is despicable. A veteran staying at a VA facility having to pay that much money
What did you say it was, $5,500 a month?
$5,500.
Oh,
The man is
my.
not on any special machines. He's about blind and about deaf. He can get around some. He can get out of his wheelchair. He's got to be helped to the bathroom. And he goes around in the wheelchair. He feeds himself. But $5,500 a month. And my cousin talked to the resource officer up there, and her statement was, "We can't do anything."
You know, there.
When he's out of money, come talk to him.
Yeah, when you're out of money, when you've lost everything that you have worked for to try to achieve, hopefully, I don't know the entire story here, but to pass on to your loved ones as kind of a legacy. And the way things are, you've got to eat, sleep, and breathe that legacy to stay alive. And then, after you absolutely have turned into a ward of the state, somebody's going to help you. That is the most dehumanizing thought I could ever have.
Yes, and this man was willing to lay his life down for this country, and this is how we treat him. I am just livid.
I'll tell you what I'd like you to do. I want you to do a little homework and write some of these facts down and everything and send them over to me, email them to me today. And I want to do a special segment on that tomorrow.
Okay.
All right, buddy.
I'll get all the information I can and get it sent to you. I'll even get you the names of the people he talked to.
I want numbers. I want telephone numbers. I want everything.
I'll do what I can.
All right, buddy. Thank you so much.
Hey,
I
thank
appreciate
you.
it.
God bless.
Thank you.
Anybody can help us, get a hold of Zeb or get a hold of me.
All right, Doug. God bless, man. Thanks. Hey, don't forget Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center, 924 Christian Way in Rupert. Oh, my goodness. They're the only locally owned and operated assisted living facility in the Mini-Cassia area, and they make every effort to make Autumn Haven the best place for your loved one. They've got a beautiful patio in the backyard, and they hold barbecues and all kinds of fun things for the residents, and they want you to stop by and take a visit and see exactly what they have to offer. They're small compared to some, but with a bigger heart than most. Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center, 924 Christian Way in Rupert. The number to call, 436-3200. I'm going to give away some cookies real quick. Cookies from Sophie's Chatterbox, a delicious restaurant and bakery over in Rupert on the Square. My, oh my, oh my. And if you are a first-time winner, don't you cheat now. You give me a call. I've got an easy one for you this morning. The first person to call and tell me 2 Major League Baseball teams, at least 2, that have a bird for their mascot. Caller, go ahead. You're on the air.
You're talking to one angry person.
Well, wait a minute. Now, Keith, I'm having a contest. You can call me back after the contest, and then I'll take your call. But right now, I'm in the middle of that for Sophie's, but call me right back. Would you please?
You're in the middle of what?
In the middle of a contest.
Oh, I'm sorry.
All right. Call me right back. Please give me a call, 436-2244. Name 2 Major League Baseball teams that have birds, like chirp, chirp, birds as their mascot. So give me a call quickly, and the first person that comes up with 2 Major League Baseball teams that have birds as their mascot, we will give you the cookies. That's an easy one this morning for a dozen delicious cookies from Sophie's Chatterbox at, of course, right on the square, 530 East Street in Rupert. 2 Major League Baseball teams that have birds as their mascots. Quickly give me a call at 436-2244. There we go. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. What are your answers?
Blue Jays and Orioles.
That's funny that you would say that, and you're the winner, but what's your name, sir?
Clark Dixon.
Clark Dixon. Clark, honestly, I thought when I asked that, the number one answer would be the St. Louis Cardinals. But you came up with the Baltimore Orioles and the Toronto Blue Jays, and you're a winner. You call them over at Sophie's and let them know when you're going to be in there for the cookies, okay?
Okay.
All right, sir. God bless you. I really thought when I asked that question that the number one answer, first off, would be the St. Louis Cardinals. And it came out Baltimore Orioles and Toronto Blue Jays. Thank you very much, Clark. I appreciate it. Now, let's get back to the situation at hand. Talking about our vets, talking about Maryland, talking about breaking the law by giving voting rights to illegal aliens. We got a whole bunch to talk about. By the way, I also want to issue this. Earlier, we said we wanted prayers for my little bitty buddy Wheels, and we want to encourage everybody to do so. He's been a little under the weather, and we want to make sure that he gets better. Also keep in your prayers the folks up there in Lincoln County, where, man alive, the fires have burned well over 60,000 acres, and also another fire between Wendell and Gooding. Our thoughts and prayers are with everybody that's being affected by these fires, and also this terrible smoke and haze. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, sir.
You know, an extension of what Doug was talking about, is that okay to cover?
Yeah, go ahead. Hurry. Go ahead.
Yeah. For one thing, if you are a veteran, like I am, and a lot of other people, you cannot dispose of your property in, to hide from giving it to the rest home or whatever it is, or any other thing, because they will claw it back. I think it's a 2-year moratorium.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, if you try to transfer your house into your children's name and you have to go to the VA hospital in that time period, they will seize your property. They won't seize it, but they will lien it.
Yeah.
And that is disgraceful, but it's an extension to what Doug was talking about. That only way you're going to get full benefits is if you have nothing.
You know, Keith, let me ask you this. You served in our military, you served our country. And I, for one, am absolutely sick and tired of having all the ramifications and the regulatory means thrown against our veterans, and people, unknowledgeable, and quite frankly, I'm going to term them stupid people, are saying, well, they signed up. It's just a job like every other job. They're serving their country. It is not. When you go get a job as a baker, if you go get a job as a school teacher, you go get a job anywhere else, an insurance representative, car salesman, I don't care. You're not putting your life on the line 24/7, 365 like our soldiers are to protect this United States of America. And we can't treat them better than what we are. Something is really wrong.
I'll tell you what's really wrong is there's people like me, and I am angry at this situation, and I'll try to keep under control. But I cannot get any VA benefits. We've been trying for 6 months now, and they try to tell me I don't exist.
Wow.
Now, that is the truth. And I'll tell you what, I finally went to Crapo's office and turned it over to them. And if they don't get something done, where do I go from there?
You know, I wish I could be the VA administrator for 24 hours. And I did not serve in the military. I'm going to say that up front for all those out there in the audience that are wondering, because I was 4F. I was 4F. But I hopefully have served my country by honoring the military and trying to do all I can for the military every year that I've been in broadcasting. But, you know, I'm not going to quit fighting. And if I were that administrator for 24 hours, heads would roll like apples falling off of a tree so that we could get better people in better positions to do a better job.
Well, I'll take my hat off to you any day for what you've done for the veterans and for our country. Let me try to explain to you what the claim happened. In 1995, the building, which housed all of the archives of the veterans, burned down.
Mm-hmm.
And then they find out, afterward, they're investigating this, that this building was not built to the fire code.
Oh, my.
Now, all my records were destroyed, so what do I do?
You know, I have not got the answers for you, Keith. I wished I did. But But I know that it's an appalling situation what's going on. When I heard about Doug's uncle, I just absolutely, my knuckles were white. I was so furious. I don't want to be rude to you, but I've got to get a commercial in, Keith, and we'll talk more about this tomorrow when Doug gives me some of that information. Thank you so much.
Yeah, just one other little note. The veteran that just passed away, that was so honored with 3 Purple Hearts.
Yes.
He was in the same situation.
Yes, Russell Smith. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
God bless you, man. Thanks. I tell you what, I'll go toe-to-toe with anybody over the benefits and the welfare of our veterans. Don't forget Jerome County Fair and Rodeo. My goodness sakes, a little bit later on, we're going to have Cade Rogge on the phone. We're going to be talking about the Jerome County Fair and Rodeo. My goodness, they have fun over in Jerome. And I'll tell you what, they've got great junior rodeo. They're going to have a fantastic PRCA rodeo. They're going to have everything over there this week, so you do not want to miss a minute of it. And Friday, they're going to have the bloodless bullfights right there in the Depew Arena. And on Saturday, also the great big tractor pulling contest. Holy mackerel. It's all there in Jerome, Idaho at the Jerome County Fair and Rodeo for 2017. Don't you miss it. Do we have another call? I couldn't remember if that cow mooed or not.
No.
Okay. Gina, I've got a question for you.
Yeah.
And we're going to change subjects just a little bit here.
Okay.
And I'm going to say my case, and you can feel free, as you have in many other occasions, to tell me if you think I'm right or wrong.
Okay.
If you're holding a beauty contest, and the contestants know what the rules are prior to becoming a contestant,
Okay.
and then during the contest, a Muslim beauty queen that entered this contest refuses to wear a swimsuit in the competition and makes nothing but a folly out of the event because she stood up and said, I won't do it for the sake of this, that, and the other. Who's right and who's wrong? I say that the beauty contest absolutely was fair and honest and forthright up front as to the swimsuit competition, personality competition, and everything else. And I will say this, Muslim women that are doing this, and it's not just a one-time occurrence, it's happened many times, they are doing this nothing more to change everything to their favor and for their ideology. Now, you tell me if I'm wrong.
Nope, you're absolutely right. If I was on the panel of said beauty pageant, and all of the contestants were well informed about the rules and what contests were going to go on and how the points breakdown would be, and if they chose to not participate in one of the said categories, one of two things would happen. Either first and foremost, they would be disqualified from the pageant for not following through with what they knew to be was the rules and regulations of said pageant. Number two, if not disqualification, then if they chose not to participate in a specific category, then they would have points docked.
Yep.
So therefore, they would be guaranteed not to win because they did not participate in all said categories of the pageant as outlined in the rules and regulations of the pageant.
That's the whole thing, though, Gina. You've seen this. You're the program director over at the station. You see a lot of these stories come across your desk, etc. But the whole thing boils down to, in this country, we are looking at a changing of the rules and regulations after the fact. Yes. And I am sick and tired of people knowing that this has got to be done this way. These are the rules of our pageant. These are the rules of our game or whatever's going on. And then to get involved and try to create nothing but turmoil for the sake of changing to your ideology, I think is despicable.
Yeah, I would have a no-tolerance policy on that, you know. I don't... You signed up for this knowing your religious aspects.
Yep.
But you still signed up for this contest. I'm sorry, but these rules were well-defined prior to you entering, and so if you cannot follow said rules and regulations, even though with respect to your religion, you are still going to be disqualified or you're going to have points docked.
Yeah, but you see, right there you said some key words as to the thoughts and points of your religion. Number one, then don't sign up. Number two, if you do sign up, then you should expect the recrimination against you for a dockage of points or being released from the beauty pageant because you didn't follow the rules. But don't you dare stand on a pedestal and tell the news media that you're not in favor of this and just trying to promote your ideology. I say don't let the door hit you in the behind on the way out.
Exactly. I mean, if you had religious religious objections to some specific categories within this beauty pageant, you shouldn't have signed up in the first place.
Amen. Do we have a call? Thank you very much. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. I'm not really on the subject this much. I was just going to throw a suggestion in.
All right, go ahead.
It's on the Berkeley program. We've got these snowflakes in Berkeley, right?
Yes.
Well, there's a commercial on TV that would fit them just fantastic, and that is they've got a canopy that fits over their over your pillow, and it's got all these like Snow White and stuff like that. We should get a coalition up and send them all to send these canopies to Berkeley and these other safe spaces that these snowflakes are on.
I couldn't agree more. You know, I had heard about this, and these millennials are almost laughable. I'm going to have a story on a millennial situation here in just a moment.
But anyway, that's what I wanted to throw in there.
No, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. God bless you, sir, for your thoughts. I couldn't agree more. I'm going to talk about the millennials in just a little bit, but we're going to take some calls. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. What do you think about them, the Muslims, quite frankly? I'm not going to hedge. I'm not going to back up. I'm not going to adjust my verbiage over this. Oh, I'm going to say it like it is. They only get involved in this so that they can get in there and disrupt, change everything according to what I said earlier, their favor and their ideology. I'm going to go to the weather forecast right now, brought to you by Mount Harrison Audio and, of course, hearing aids. Mount Harrison Audiology. And this Dr. Pickup absolutely is phenomenal, and she's committed to serving every patient to make sure that you hear everything. You can trust your hearing health to the only locally owned hearing healthcare practice in Magic Valley, and that's Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, right across from the Minidoka Hospital emergency room. And, of course, call for an appointment today. I did. It's fun, really. I enjoyed it. 312-0957. 312-0957. And right now, here is the lovely lady forecaster, Gina.
Well, we do have an air quality advisory. It is in effect through today, probably tonight, and part of tomorrow because of all of the wildfires in the area. So if you have some upper respiratory issues, please make note of that. Other than that, looks like partly sunny skies for today. A little bit on the breezy side. Winds out of the northeast, 5 to 10 miles an hour. Looking at a high of 83 tonight. Areas of smoke, partly cloudy with a low 58. And tomorrow, areas of smoke. And we do have a slight chance of some afternoon rain showers and thunderstorms in the forecast with a high of 83. Currently, we're sitting at 64 here at the KBAR studios. And, Zeb, you have a phone call.
All right, I'll take that in just a moment. Right now, again, thank you for the weather forecast. Always a great job. On behalf of Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, call for an appointment today. 312-0957. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Hello, Zeb. How are you today?
Good, sir. Thank you.
Hey, I was calling about, I went to the VA a couple years ago with a problem, and just the DD-214, which is your service record, and once I showed them that, and then I went through there like a house of fire, and they took excellent care of me. So with that DD-214, I don't understand what the problem is by getting into the VA.
Well, let me ask you this, and I know who this caller is. God bless you for your call this morning. I don't think any of us should point the finger at maybe Idaho or situations in Pocatello or Boise until we know all the circumstances, but I think you will agree that the VA has had many problems. We're talking about the mess down in Phoenix, Arizona. We're talking about various other problems. I think you'll agree with me that you can't scoff off these problems because too many veterans are not getting the care they deserve.
Well, I most certainly agree with that. and I've read and heard some real bad stories that, of course, my personal experience with the Boise VA was just absolutely wonderful.
Well, let me ask you this. What about the facts that they were talking about earlier, about the expenditures and the eradication of your property to the point where you're just absolutely stone broke poor before certain assistance can be lent? What do you think about this?
Well, Zeb, I don't understand that. You see, I'm not a rich man or anything, but I got property, and of course, I was in intensive care for a week, which is not inexpensive.
No. And
when I come out, of course, I got blood pressure pills that are free, and I've not charged a penny. I just don't know the ins and outs of all of it. The bad part I don't quite understand, really.
Well, what we're going to do is do some investigatory means and methods over the next couple of days, and I, honest to goodness, thank you so much for your call. I have heard both sides of the story, and you're the other side, and I appreciate you calling in this morning, and believe me, I'll be in touch when I get some more information.
Okay, the stagecoach is done, too.
You know, you are the greatest artist of building, and I have got to get over and see that. You've got it all done, finished, El Finicio, painted and everything, right?
Yeah, it's been in 3 parades, and Jeff Chatburn said they want the Fair Board in Burley to ride in the parade.
Oh, my goodness. Well, I'll tell you what, I don't know who's going to have the horses and who's going to be up on top, but whoever it is, be careful.
Okay.
All right, Ray.
A gentleman from Ogden, Utah has been pulling it.
Okay.
So,
well,
I rode shotgun once in Albion, so.
Let me ask you, at a walk, everything is okay, but boy, when you crank those horses up, I don't know if it's a 4 or 6 team hitch, and you're going at a real good jog or a slow lope or a fast out lope, it can get a little scary up there on top.
You know, and with my experience to see a long trot, the longest I rode in was from Chatburns to the city of Albion. We was going in a long trot, but I've never been up there in a dead run.
Okay.
So you have some experience I don't.
I have experiences, and I'm just going to say this, that I have been at a full-out gallop with the team pulling a stagecoach, and honestly, I've got a video of it, making figure eights in an indoor coliseum at a dead run, and that coach leaning and swaying back and forth, yours truly hanging on, not ashamed to say it, for dear life.
I can understand.
All right, buddy. Thanks for your call. Appreciate it.
You bet.
Thank you. You betcha, buddy. Thanks. Hey, don't forget Barry Equipment and Rental. Oh, my goodness sakes, they have all the equipment to get the job done right. They got all the Bobcats. They've got all the new and used excavators for sale or rent, all shapes and sizes. Don't know how to run one? Well, I don't either. That's why I'm going over, and they're going to give me a crash course, or maybe crash is a bad word. I'm going to go over and have a quick course on how to use it in their back sandbox. Absolutely. Barry Equipment and Rental with locations South Lincoln and Jerome, Addison Avenue West in Twin, and 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. All the equipment rentals and retail equipment sales from Barry Equipment and Rental. They are the best. You stop in and see them today. Gina, I have a story that you are a very thrifty person. You have to watch your money, and I know that you don't just throw dollar bills up in the air and say sayonara. Right?
I wish I could.
Okay.
I wish I could.
I don't want to be that way. No, I've never wanted to throw money up in the air, ever. But did you know, I did a little study on this story that was, it came out Friday afternoon, late. It's a study about the millennials. And these kids that are from ages of like 18 to 24, that's the age group that was studied.
Prime time, my daughter, yes.
Okay. They found out that the millennials, not all of them, I'm not saying that, but many, many, many of them have no idea how a credit card works. And when they got the acceptance factor of a credit card, many of them that were interviewed didn't know that you have to pay money for the use of the card.
Yeah, you want to know why? Lack of home ec and teaching life skills in today's scholastic atmosphere.
I could not agree with you more. Mm-hmm. And some of the kids that were interviewed after they ran up enormous credit card debt, they honestly thought that by skipping payments, they were improving their credit rating.
Oh, Lordy. No.
What has happened to our society, my dear? Please expand on that.
Well, we've got a quick phone call, but I will tell you this in 30 seconds or less. We have failed to teach our children life skills.
Amen.
By we, I mean my generation.
Amen.
We have failed to teach our children the basic necessities of life skills, cooking your own dinner, balancing your checkbook, learning how to pay bills, and holding down a job consistently. We have failed to teach that to our kids, and so honestly, I blame my generation, Generation X, because we've made it way too easy for our kids.
Let's not start talking about cooking meals. Deanne was under the weather, not feeling well last night, so I tried to cook her dinner, but my peanut butter and jelly sandwich didn't go over well.
Try it with ice cream next time.
Okay. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Yes, good morning, Zeb. Happy peanut butter.
Okay.
You know this thing about the voting in Maryland?
Yes.
Don't these politicians understand what's going to happen? You're going to get all these foreigners come in here and vote every American out of office in no time at all.
But you know, Tony...
In a way, this might be good. All you have to do is have about 6 to 7 trucks outside the voting place and have ISIS there, and as they come in to vote, you pick them up, put them on the truck, and haul them home.
You know, Tony, what you said is really the mantra of the Democratic Party and a lot of the liberals today. They scoff at us for worrying about illegals voting and having other things that are given to them by our government. They scoff at us and they make fun of us. And I don't care if I'm made fun of. I do not want anyone that is not a legal citizen to be voting for any faction or entity in this United States. That's it, plain and simple.
Doesn't the Democratic Party realize that they have to abide by the Constitution and they to protect our flag and protect our freedoms and everything? This whole thing has become a personal battle.
Yeah, it really has.
That's going to kill this country off. Every time Trump tries to do something good, it's either Schumer sabotaging him or Ryan or somebody else.
I agree with you. Tony, it's always good to hear from you. God bless you and Mary, and I'll talk to you later. Thank you so much.
Okay, thanks, Dad.
God bless. Hey, don't forget our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Oh, my. You can get where you're going this summer safely, and then turn around and come home again safely with all the tires that they have for your cars, pickups, SUVs, horse trailers, boat trailers, everything. They've got all the tread designs, all the sizes. They've got all the people there to serve you. I mean, these guys are good. And, of course, the best in brake service. The best in brake service. Front-end alignment, shocks and struts, batteries. You don't want to just pull out of your driveway and hit the road. You better stop in there first. Make sure you're going to be driving safely. Check your tires, and they can take care of everything for you at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Lane and Rupert. Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin. Mike and Buell. Mike and Jerome. The Twist family in Paul. Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls. And my buddy Randy on Oberlin in Burley. The best. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Oh, Gina, have you got a 2018 calendar in front of you?
No, I do not.
Well, please get one and take a magic marker and highlight next year, 2018, August 4th. Make sure you circle that day, and everybody gets the day off. You know what that day is?
What is that day?
It has been proclaimed in Illinois, and they're going to try to make it all over the United States, Barack Obama Day. Aren't you just absolutely excited, my dear?
Ooh, a day I'm not going to celebrate.
Me neither.
You've got a quick phone call on the air. Do you want to take it, or do you want to...
Quick call, 30 seconds max. Go ahead, caller, quickly.
Zeb, on these sanctuary cities,
they've turned into more like an addiction. And those people in those cities need to sit in the soup line long enough that they figure it out for themselves and get back to work.
I agree. I hate to cut you off, my dear friend, but I've got to run to the news. You call me tomorrow a little earlier so I can get you on, my friend.
I clearly understand. Thanks.
All right, buddy. Thank you so much. Got to run, which for me is an oxymoron. I've got to go right now to the news from CBS. Gina's running the board this morning. God bless everybody. We'll be back in about 7 minutes. Oh, my. Here we go. Back in the swing of things. By the way, I want to say this about the weather and everything in just a minute, but Zebeth Ranch with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley, Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, and our great friends with Western Weight Service. Let's hear them.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Weight Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Weight Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal. Western Weight Services.
Always at your disposal. Believe me, they take care of you. They are very, very loyal to the community and the people that they serve. At Western Way Services, always at your disposal. Call, get on the route service today. It's easy. Call them at 734-6969. 734-6969. Western Way Services, always at your disposal. Right now, also, I want to say thank you to our friends over at Ark Animal Hospital. Hello, Dr. Bill and the crew over there at Ark Animal Hospital, 750 21st Street, near the Connection Credit Union in Heyburn. Here's the number to write down on the refrigerator in big black ink, 678-1177. They have the warm hearts for the cold noses, a mixed animal practice, meaning big or small. They love them and can take care of them all. Remember that, and it's the season for ticks and fleas. Be careful with your pets when they go out there fishing and hunting with you. They can come home and give you the ticks. Be careful. Excuse me, and I've got a sore throat from the smoke. Ark Animal Hospital, 750 21st Street, near Connection Credit Union in Heyburn, 678-1177. And real fast, I also want to say a big thank you to our friends at Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert, with our dear friend Joel Heward, his family, and the staff, always taking care and there to serve you when there's the passing of a loved one. You know, the family lives there, and they have flexible hours to make sure that they are there when you need them. All you need to do is call 436-5636. That number again, 436-5636. Hanson Mortuary in Rupert, serving you and your family with the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity. Hanson Mortuary. Right now, let's go to the phone line, and we have with us a young man that is doing very, very well as a professional announcer, and I give him kudos for what he has accomplished so far. And we're going to be talking about the Jerome County Fair and Rodeo. And we say good morning to announcer and auctioneer Cade Rogge. How are you?
It went to voicemail.
Well, that's plain and simple.
I'll keep trying, but I called a couple of different times, and it just kept on going to voicemail, so I left him a message. But I'll continue to try.
Called him at 5 minutes to 8 before I went on the air this morning.
I'll keep trying.
Thank you, Gina. I appreciate it. Holy buckets. Cade, pick up your phone, Cade. Thank you. Calls are welcome, 437. Wait a minute. I'm just getting a call. Deanne, can you come here for a second and take this? Cade evidently tried to call me on my cell phone at home, and I have no idea why, because that's not going to go anywhere. And we'll see if we couldn't get him on the air. Hold on just a second. I'll see if answer that and see if you can get a hold of him.
I just dialed again, and it goes directly to voicemail.
Okay, he's calling me. He's calling me right now on my cell phone.
Okay, tell them to call the radio station.
This is not good. This is kind of like a round robin, but we're not getting anywhere.
You got to call the radio station, Cade, to get through to Zeb.
You know, maybe the smoke has caused the problem.
Okay, maybe this is him. Hold on.
Okay, hold on. Bingo. Are we going to hit a home run? Once again, with our build-up, we'll see if we have Cade Rogge on the other line. Good morning, Cade.
Hey, Zeb. How's it going?
Good. I thought maybe we missed you, buddy.
No, my phone never rang. I don't know what went on there.
Well, you got to plug it
I
in.
think I was listening to the radio.
Okay, well, I am too. Cade Rogge has said just a moment ago, a young man that has really done a lot in his career as an auctioneer and announcer, and you're going to be over at the Jerome County Fair and Rodeo. Tell us a little bit about your involvement and what you're going to be doing.
Jerome PRCA Rodeo is one of my favorites. Just great people to work with. It's kind of unique that you get to work a rodeo in the middle of the week. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I'm honored to be a part of it. I mean, they're the people that really stepped out and gave me a chance right when I got my card. And we've been growing ever since. I mean, that's kind of our goal over there with that rodeo, is just to make it a little bit better every year. And I think this year is going to be one of our best.
Well, now, let's talk a little bit about your involvement as an announcer and the studies and the interest in the Cowboys and, of course, the buck and stock and everything to promote that to the audience. Give us a little background on that.
I'm just a big fan. I mean, that's all it is. The homework, I mean, as you know, Zeb, that's the biggest part of the job. Once the homework's done, then it's pretty easy after that. And I do spend a lot of time researching and doing a lot of homework, and it's my favorite time of year because all the top Cowboys in the PRCA, they head up to the Northwest this time of year. I mean, we're still a little early, but the Northwest rodeos here, early fall, late summer, those are my favorite rodeos, and a lot of money gets won right here at this time of year, and for the NFR. I mean, so it kind of gets important now. The end of the PRCA season's the middle of September, so people really have that NFR on their mind, and places like Jerome really gets hit with top Cowboys for that reason.
Well, you can't.
Like I said, the homework is probably the most important part of the job.
Absolutely. Along with the homework and along with knowing the Cowboys and their past history, their track record, what they've done, where they've been, what they've won, and all this kind of stuff, you can't put a rodeo on without having good bucking horses and bulls. What's going on over there at Jerome?
Mike Corey, he brings them every year, and just solid pin of bucking horses and bulls. I mean, every year it's been pretty consistent. Just good bucking horses that them guys like to get on, and that means more than anything. I mean, it's fun to watch a TV pin, I'll call it, the rankest horses in the world, but then it's kind of fun to watch just a good solid horse and a good matchup. That's what I kind of think that makes for a good show too. I mean, and there's a lot of just good matchups this week. Good solid horses and good circuit guys, and then there's top 15 in the world,
Right.
But Mike Corey and Lane, they do a great job for us over there in Jerome, and they'll do a great job for us again this year, I'm sure of it.
All right, now explain to everybody about the rodeo itself. It starts tomorrow night, August 8th, and goes through Thursday night. Do they have anything special each night?
Yeah, they got a 4-H night. The Tough Enough to Wear Pink night is Thursday, and then tomorrow night is family night. Kids 12 and under are free, and all week the ticket only costs you $10. I mean, it's an amazing show for $10, But tomorrow night we're really selling that deal as a family night. Bring your family. 12 and under is free. Seniors for $6. And it really should be a good night. We do a special presentation that Thursday night for Tough Enough to Wear Pink. And then Wednesday night will be 4-H night. So
Of all the things that you've done and accomplished so far in your announcing career, what are your goals and aspirations, old friend? The NFR? What's looming on the horizon?
Yeah, I mean that's kind of the ultimate goal. The NFR would definitely be, the high. I mean, announcer of the year, NFR, something like that. That's kind of my mindset. I really want to win a world championship in this livestock auctioneering deal. That's something that's a main goal too. So, just keep working it. It's been kind of slow going, but just keep working, and things have really opened up, here and there, and I get to be involved in some really, really good rodeos. And that's the funnest part of the job, I think, is just meeting new people. And there's not one rodeo committee that I work for that I don't like. I mean, they're just a group of great people, and that's the thing, Zeb. I mean, you know this, but I don't know how many people know how hard those committees work to put on a rodeo.
That's right.
What I mean?
Yep.
And we try to stress that. Are you there?
Yeah, well, lost you for a minute there. Go ahead. You're back on.
Oh, and that's just what we try to stress that, as rodeo announcers, how hard they work, but I don't know if people really understand what it takes to put on a performance,
That's right. Let me ask you this question. Which is harder for you, to be an auctioneer and go through the chant and remember where you're at and all the pricing structure and everything, or the rodeo business?
The auctioneering has not come natural to me. I practice every day. I mean, it's a lot harder. The rodeo announcing deal, Zeb, is just something I fell into. You put on a little school. I went to one of your schools, and it just kind of comes natural. I'm just a natural BSer, I guess. That auctioneering thing, that's a little harder. I mean, I've really had to work hard, and I still have to work really hard to conduct an auction.
I've watched on RFD.
Go ahead, Seth.
Now, I was just going to say, I've watched on RFD TV, when they have the Auctioneer of the Year awards, and Kyle Schob, another one of my students that went to my school, has done an outstanding job, not only as a rodeo announcer, but also an auctioneer. He and you are almost bookends. Your careers are almost exactly alike.
Yeah, he's got that gold buckle over my head, though. Once I win that deal, Kyle, he does a bull sale here at the sale yard in Burley, and he's been wonderful. I mean, he's helped me so much. He was actually one of the teachers at the auctioneer college that I went to in Billings. He's been awesome. He's been a big help in my auctioneer career and my rodeo career, and a good guy to know. But he truly is one of, I think, probably the best auctioneers in the world.
When you said about the homework that we have to do in preparatory work for each performance, for the Cowboys, the Buck and Stock, and make sure that all the thank yous and the committee and everybody is mentioned and acknowledged and everything, as compared to being an auctioneer with the chant, remembering where you're at, who's got what bid, etc. Boy, I agree with you. I think auctioneer would be a lot tougher.
Yeah, I mean, it's just it takes a lot of work to perfect that chant, and you're always changing something or putting something in or taking something out, and it's almost like art. I mean, once you kind of have that thing, it's everybody's unique. Every one of them's different, and I enjoy selling cattle. That's one of my favorite things to do. I'm pretty lucky. I have two great jobs that kind of go hand in hand. And since you brought it up, that 4-H sale in Jerome on Saturday, me and my dad, Ron, we're going to be conducting that too. So make sure everybody comes over and sees us there at the 4-H auction.
Oh, my goodness. It sounds like you're going to have a full plate over at the Jerome County Fair and Rodeo, and you're going to be the man behind the mic tomorrow night for the first performance of the PRCA Rodeo. Anything that I missed, Cade, go ahead and jump in and tell us.
I think we kind of got our bases covered. We really want to stress family night tomorrow night. Kids 12 and under are free. Just have a good time with us. Everybody there is just ready. I mean, we're so ready for this rodeo. We're excited for this rodeo. Like I said, everybody's got the mindset of just making it better, and we have every year, and I think this will truly be our best year yet. So.
Cade Rogge, I want to wish you the very best of luck and all well for this summer on the road. You're a great young man. I appreciate you, and thanks for being on our program.
Well, thanks, Deb. I sure appreciate you. You guys have a good day.
All right, sir. Cade Rogge, the announcer at the Jerome County Fair and Rodeo, and he starts behind the mic tomorrow night, as a matter of fact, and that will be family night at the Jerome County Fair and Rodeo tomorrow evening. Everybody trying to be there. Hey, don't forget, we've got another fair and rodeo to talk about, too, and that's the Cassia County Fair and Rodeo, and the merchants inviting you to be in attendance, including Pickett Equipment Company at 976 East Main in Burley. Oh, my goodness sakes, have they had some of the best equipment for farming, especially in bean equipment, since the mid-1970s. Steve and the whole crew over there, they know, and they can help you, and they're shipping equipment all over the United States. Pickett Equipment Company inviting you to the Cassia County Fair and Rodeo. And the Goodie Shop at 133 East Main in Burley, and the number to remember, oh boy, did they have goodies at the Goodie Shop. I know because they've sent me some. 647-0106. 647-0106. All the goodies, the brownies and the sandwiches and the cookies and cupcakes and everything at the Goodie Shop. And Streamline Precision, 120 South, 100 West of Burley. And believe me, they can build your steel buildings just the way you want them. Agricultural, industrial, and community buildings, all you have to do is call Tim at 431-7314 or 678-9204. Streamline Precision in Burley, inviting you and yours to the Cassia County Fair and Rodeo. Oh, my goodness sakes, let's see where we're at here right now. We're going to have a guest coming on at 9:30. Gina, I know you're busy. I know you're wearing about 37 hats over there today, but I was wondering if you couldn't give us a little update on the fire over by Peekaboo Desert Road and then also the one over between Wendell and Gooding. Have they kind of subsided a little bit, or what's going on?
I checked last night, and the fires were still very active. But hold on, let me get you on to InciWeb, and that usually tells us everything that we need to know what's going on within the fire district realm. And let's see here, let's go to Idaho incidents. Because I do know that the air quality has been degraded. Let's see here, there is the, let's see here, we are looking for, wow, there is a lot of wildfires going on in our state right now. Holy cow.
You know, I got to tell you this before you give us the report. I don't know how it's affected you, but yesterday it was a very humid, hot day yesterday with the sultry conditions, I believe, that were kind of covering all of us with the smoke and the haze and everything. Deanne got really sick yesterday, and I'm starting to lose my voice this morning, and I'll urge everybody, if you've got some kind of lung problem, asthmatic, or whatever your problem might be, this is not good time of the year.
This is not a good time of the year, and I know that the Mammoth fire that was going on over near Shoshone, that has burned so far like 60,000 acres.
Yeah.
They are also working on the power line fire that is being actually pushed by the wind. They are estimating that fire at 46,000 acres in size. They are still working on that. That is on land managed by the Fort Hall Indian Reservation, and so the BLM is out there right now. They've got multiple multiple pieces of equipment out there fighting that one. Let's see here, what else can I find out? The Mammoth Fire, located 7 miles north of Shoshone. Containment is unknown at this point in time. It's burned 60,000 acres. 20 engines, 2 Type 2 initial attack and hand crews are on scene. They say that the fire behavior is very active, and it's being driven by the wind. And so that is the Mammoth Fire going on right now. And so there's a lot of wildfires here in our area. There's also, what is this one, the Coe Fire, and that's under control now. And then there's the Lagoon Fire that was actually put under control at the end of the month. So, but we still have a lot of the stuff that we're getting as far as smoke is concerned is coming out of the fire that is burning over towards the Fort Hall Indian Reservation.
Let me ask you this. Have you had any updates on physical or health alarms and awareness from the doctors or any other groups about people staying indoors that might suffer from some kind of malady?
Well, if you have any sort of upper respiratory issues, i.e. like asthma, maybe you have COPD, things like that,
right,
you might want to stay indoors. If you are on oxygen, stay indoors and keep on your oxygen. If you have to go outside, wear some sort of respirator if you can. There's a wood stove burning restriction. There's outdoor burning restrictions going on. And they're saying that when air quality is unhealthy for sensitive groups, limit your outdoor activities.
Absolutely.
So they say to the general public, it's, we're not likely to be affected. But actually what I can do is I did get a PDF sent to me by the Department of Environmental Quality. I can forward this on to you,
okay,
which kind of just explains the air quality condition. Of course, this one was issued this morning. Well, actually, they say the next update is going to be this afternoon at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, so they are definitely tracking everything, but no burning at all in
right,
any form or fashion.
Okay. Listen, the 10:30 hour this morning, our guest did not make it as scheduled, and we'll talk more about this. Plus, I want to talk to you about the area code phone numbers, and then also a subject that is really still kind of like salt in the wound, Colin Kaepernick.
Oh, and am I still supposed to be calling Dr. John Zamerick?
Yes, if you would, please.
You got it.
All right. Thank you. I'll kind of cover from here. Hey, by the way, folks, we appreciate everything that you're doing out there, all your calls and everything. And Gina's filling in for Wheels today. Wheels under the weather, and we certainly pray for our itty-bitty buddy and hope that he'll be back with us tomorrow. Okay? Hey, don't forget, let's ride 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturdays, 9 to 4. They've got all the four-wheelers. They've got all the side-by-sides. They've got everything, all the watercraft, everything over there. Let me tell you, they have got a showroom that is just absolutely jam-packed, full of fun. Fun! That's right. This is where the fun is sold. Let's ride. You stop over, they've got all the accessories, and they've got a super service department to keep you running, too. So check it out. 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. Let's ride. You stop in and see them today. Also, want to say thank you to our friends at Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Yep, just up the road a little bit from Let's Ride. There you go, on Highway 24. Make an appointment and make sure you're protected. The number to call for an appointment, 436-4424. That number again, 436-4424. Life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits, all of this and more from a staff that is really dedicated and responsive to your needs. You call them today. You'll be glad you did. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert, 436-4424. Want to remind you, too, that with all the fairs and all the happenings going on, we're going to have quite a few notes and memos for you to attend various functions and everything. So we certainly appreciate your staying tuned. Anybody that has questions on anything that we put on about the various fairs, etc., just give us a call after the program. You can call me on my cell phone at 312-2976. That number again, 312-2976. Real fast, before we go any further and get our guest on the line, I'd like to remind you again about Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center at 924 Christian Way in Rupert. Now, write this number down and be sure and give them a call. They welcome your calls. They welcome you to come by their facility and check them out anytime. 436-3200. That number again, 436-3200. And they invite the public to stop by and see their beautiful patio in the backyard where They hold barbecues and all kinds of other social events. And the care is tremendous. Always able to provide one-on-one care for your loved ones. They're small compared to some, but with a bigger heart than most. Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center, 924 Christian Way in Rupert. Number to call, 436-3200. Right now, let's go to the phone line. And with us on the program, as soon as I get my papers changed here, we have a guest that has been on my show many, many times in the past, and I hope he keeps coming back. He writes outstanding articles for the Stream, and he hit another home run on this one called Give Me Your Tired, Your Poor, and 8 Tiny Little Reindeer. John Zemerick, what in the world's going on here?
Well, that's a reference to that exchange, which is now famous on TV, between Jim Acosta and Stephen Miller.
Right.
Over immigration, where Jim Acosta tried to treat Emma Lazarus's poem that was later added to the introductory room to the Statue of Liberty. It's not part of the statue, it's part of the room you enter when you go in. He tried to turn that lovely, inspiring poem into something like an article of the United States Constitution, that the U.S. is constitutionally committed to accepting large numbers of unskilled immigrants in perpetuity, because somebody wrote a lovely poem that was, put in the office of a national monument.
Right.
I'm not making that up. It really is that simple.
Now let me ask you this, John. I want to kind of go into this story that you had written piece by piece. Is this the crutch, or is this the door opener for the liberal left, the Democrats, to absolutely make fun of us and call the rest of us xenophobic and call the rest of us hate mongers and bigots if we don't want any more forced immigration? What is this?
This is an attempt. It's an attempt by the left to take an old policy that used to make sense and doesn't make sense anymore, and try to say that we are bound for nostalgic reasons to stay with it. An old policy which made sense in its time. The United States was once a half-empty country that needed unskilled laborers, lots of farmers. It needed anybody basically who could show up, who was willing not to try to overthrow the government. That was true when Emma Lazarus wrote that poem. And it's a very inspiring poem. As I point out in the article, the unskilled immigrants who the U.S. accepted included my ancestors. My grandfather came to America to shovel coal on a tugboat. We don't need coal shovelers. We have millions of Americans who can't find jobs, where the wages are too low and the welfare payments too high, that we can't lure people out of a multi-general lifestyle of being dependent on the government. And that does not produce good citizens. That does not produce fathers of families. In fact, the kids who grow up in households like that often end up in prison. Very disproportionately, they end up in prison. So by importing more and more and more unskilled laborers every year to compete for the few unskilled jobs that we still have, that we haven't outsourced to China, importing more and more people every year to keep down the wages of our least skilled citizens, it's like a war against the working poor.
John, I read your article, and I've always given you kudos for the way you think and the way you write. But there are others that have written in kind of a conspiratorial mood against you, like Jennifer Rubin, and she absolutely denounces in an op-ed that she had in our morning paper this morning, those of us that are against immigration and taking all comers, we're haters, bigots, and we absolutely have no place in the American society because we're turning away people that need to be here. How would you respond to the likes of Jennifer Rubin?
I would say that there are 700 million people, according to the Pew Research Center. 700 million people would like to emigrate right now, as of now. I think almost 200 million want to come specifically to the United States, but I don't have that number in front of me. But if Jennifer Rubin is to be held to her principle, we have to accept everyone. Everyone, every last one of them, unless they have a criminal record. If she says open immigration is a principle, then I'm going to hold her to it. I don't think she will hold to it. No, there has to be some limit. At that point, it ceases to be a moral argument. She's trying to make it a moral argument. She wants absolutely open borders. She needs to shut up about the morality of it and admit it's moral to draw limits. She and I just differ on where the most prudent limit is.
Yeah.
She has no right to her high moral dudgeon unless she wants absolute open borders.
You know,
I don't think she does.
John, let me ask you this question. I keep hearing about, we'll take everybody. Everybody's welcome here in the United States. But wait a minute. I'd like to use the term if you assimilate and try to function in our government, under our laws and regulatory means, under our rules. That's the only way I want them here, if they're cleared of any wrongdoings before they come into the country. Am I way too strict?
I would say that's necessary, but it's not sufficient. I would say that it's not enough that people simply not be committed to Al-Qaeda or unwilling to learn English. I think that's too low a bar. American citizenship is precious. It's something our ancestors fought and died for. We don't just hand it out to everyone who shows up. They might be perfectly good people, perfectly nice people. They simply aren't qualified to join our society at this point because we don't need their work. Would we want to admit 1 million people whose only skill was that they could fight as an evil knight on horseback? That was once a very honorable, tradition, a very honorable profession. We don't need 1 million armored knights on horseback. So we probably should not admit 1 million armored knights if they apply to come in. Likewise, we don't need 1 million unskilled laborers every year. We simply don't need them. So if we let them in, we're not going to be able to find them work. They're going to be on welfare. Their kids are going to be on welfare. We're going to be throwing Americans, teenagers, unskilled people, the least advantaged people in America. Those are the ones who are being hurt.
John,
large-scale, low-scale immigration.
John, the liberal left.
Executives who want nannies to their kids.
Yeah. John, the liberal left will counter the argument saying, the more unskilled workers that we bring in here, actually it'll help raise wages in this country for everybody. Where in the world do they come up with that mindset?
I can't even imagine where they would come up with something like that. The law of supply and demand is still in effect. You double the supply of labor, it will diminish the price of labor. Period. In fact, it's really that simple.
And John, let me ask you this. When you see the correlations of what's happening over in Venezuela right now with utter chaos in a socialistic country, basically Barack Obama's dream, and all that's going on over there as to what they want to try to bring here to this country, it's happening and we're not stopping it.
Well, yeah, socialism in Venezuela rode to power on the back of disenfranchised, low-skill people with no opportunities and no hope. By bringing in millions more people every year, we make sure that more and more Americans fit that description. And that suits the Democrats just fine, because that's a natural Democrat voter. And let's be honest, that's why the Democrats have switched their position on immigration. As recently as the 90s, Bill Clinton appointed Barbara Jordan, a black civil rights Democrat, civil rights activist, to do a commission on immigration. Barbara Jordan came up with a report that was way to the right of what Donald Trump just issued, saying we need to cut low-skill immigration, focus on high-skill immigration, and focus on creating jobs for poor people of whatever race or ethnic background here in America. The Democrats then figured out, but wait, we tend to get 60, 70% of the immigrant vote. Well, to heck with the native poor. We'll just import more poor people from abroad, and they'll vote for us. And so the Democrats have completely, in almost every state, succumbed to the open borders ideology.
You know, let me, if I may, because I want to hear your response to a paragraph, again referring back to the op-ed by Jennifer Rubin that was in the paper this morning. I want to read a paragraph to you, and then I want your response. She said, quote, "Much to the chagrin of the cultural nativists who see delusion of white Christian America as the end of civilization as they know it, their desire to seal America off from the world either by trade, protectionism, or by immigration exclusionism would doom America to second-class status." How would you respond to her response in that paragraph?
I would say that it is absolute gibberish, and it borders on an ethnic and racial slur. She is showing a hostility towards Americans, towards whites and Christians, that if it were aimed at any other group would be regarded as racist. I don't agree with trade protectionism, with high tariffs, but it has absolutely nothing to do with race, religion, or ethnicity.
Right.
Absolutely no connection between those two things. So for her to import it in there, it's like someone's making an anti-Semitic slur where they just throw the word Jewish in where it doesn't belong. Like they say Jewish capitalism. That's how you know you're dealing with a Nazi instead of a communist, when they complain about Jewish capitalism. In this case, I think Jennifer Rubin is showing her bias against millions of American Christians, most of whom are very friendly towards Jewish people and very favorable towards defending the state of Israel as a valuable American ally that shares our values. I want to protect Israel. I want to protect American Jews. I don't see any conflict between being open and accepting of every ethnic group that's here and enforcing rational limits to the number of new people that we take in. Israel has limits on immigration. Nobody says nobody reasonable says that that's racist or wrong. Why should America alone be the destination point for every poor person on earth?
Yeah.
So that their kids can grow up on our social welfare programs that their parents never paid into.
John,
people showing up at a party that's bring your own bottle and they didn't bring anything.
Absolutely.
Poor people who come to America without any skills are coming to a party empty-handed, and the bar in America is running dry.
Amen.
We don't have the jobs. We don't have the welfare programs. We don't have the social cohesion that we used to when my ancestors got here. We don't have a self-confident culture that'll force people to assimilate or go home. Instead, the culture assimilates to them. And then you have a civil rights lawyer suing the school board in a class action suit about disparate impact because this student is from a tribe of horseback riding nomadic herdsmen, and you're not providing him with the necessary horseback riding time at public expense. That's a slight exaggeration of the kind of garbage that is destroying the state of California right now.
Absolutely. John, can we or will we in the United States try to preserve our culture and our character?
I don't know. I think that the presidency of Donald Trump is the last try at that. And if this president doesn't build a wall, doesn't get immigration under control, America might become a basket case, the way most West European countries are basket cases, where even the supposedly conservative party is way to the left of where we are here in America. I think if we don't get immigration under control, if we don't get the Supreme Court reined in, America could end up like the way Great Britain was under the European Union. I think the British have an opportunity to escape via Brexit. We have an opportunity to escape via the Trump administration. If our leaders muff this opportunity, I don't know if we're going to get another one. God doesn't give you an infinite supply of second chances.
That's very well stated. John, I want to ask you this. When you look and talk to liberals and look at what they say, hear what they say, and then also what they promote, the Democratic Party, why Why would they be so hell-bent, if you will, in trying to take apart a country that has been a beacon of hope for the entire world, but not just a sponge to take everyone, whether they're rich, poor, criminal, or justly? We can't take everybody. We don't have the environment. We don't have the welfare system. We, quite frankly, don't have the economic conditions right now to take everyone. Why can't they see it's going to ruin this country?
I don't know. I can't climb inside their heads. I really don't. These are the same people who are running around saying that men can menstruate. So I'm at a loss. I'm not even going to try to make the act of imaginative sympathy that allows me to understand that, because I might go irreversibly insane.
You know, I got to hand it to you, though, John. Your articles in the stream, everyone needs to read them and follow them, which leads me to ask, how can my audience follow everything that you write on a weekly basis?
Go to stream.org, where I write 5 times a week. Follow me on Twitter, JZMIRAK on Twitter.
John, I appreciate it.
The Politically Incorrect Guide to Catholicism.
All right, sir. I appreciate your being on the program again. John Zmirak, good friend of this show. John, thank you. God bless. Come back soon.
Thank you. You too.
All right, sir. Thank you. Very insightful and very well written, and I urge you to go check it out at the stream. The article is Give Me Your Tired, Your Poor, and 8 Tiny Little Reindeer. John Zmirak, excellent writer. Oh, we've got to get a weather forecast on here. Excuse me. I'm sorry. The smoke is catching up with me, and it's really going into my throat, so I apologize for the raspiness. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. CPAs providing accounting services to the Mini-Cash area for well over 50 years. The best of tax return preparation, tax planning, financial statement preparation, retirement planning, all of this and so much more. For your family, your business, you be sure and get a hold of the best. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. Here now, Gina with the weather.
Well, we do have diminished air quality according to the Department of Environmental Quality. So if you have upper respiratory issues, please take note of that, because the smoke is going to be sticking around in our area at least through tomorrow night. We are looking at hazy conditions for today, a little bit on the breezy side. High of 85 for today. Tonight, smoke is going to stick around, low of 58 tomorrow. And it looks like through the rest of the week, we are going to have a slight chance of afternoon rain showers and thunderstorms. That's going to be upping our wildfire chance. For tomorrow, areas of smoke and haze, high of 83, overnight low of 57. Hopefully by Wednesday, some of that smoke is going to clear out with a high of 86. I'm not going to keep my fingers crossed on that one. Currently, we're sitting at 68.
You know, I wish, in a way, if we didn't have to be subject to more possible fires, I wish it would rain like heck for a while, really, to be honest with you.
We could really use it, but I know that a lot of the farmers, they're out there, you know, in harvest mode, so we really can't have too much rain, but, you know, just enough to kind of like quash the wildfires for a second.
And get rid of some of this smoke, please.
Oh, boy, howdy, yeah.
Oh, boy. Thank you. The weather brought to you by Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. CPAs that have been providing accounting services to the Mini-Cash area for well over 50 years, with offices in Burley and Rupert, the best. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. Your turn. Give us a call about anything. I would really appreciate a call, and I'll tell you why. Because it cuts back on my having to talk. This smoke has really hit me hard in the last hour. And yesterday, it was just like kind of an oven out there yesterday afternoon. We were going to have the family and some friends over and do a little roping and have a little picnic and everything. And unfortunately, my dear wife was a little under the weather. Literally. And then that smoke and that high humidity yesterday, and boy, it was sultry. And I know a lot of people were complaining about, they just felt like somebody had put an anvil on their chest. So those that have health problems and you don't have to be outside, don't go outside. As Gina said earlier, a smoke alert, if you will, for people that have asthma and people that may be on oxygen. please be careful. It's going to be bad for at least a couple of days. Hopefully some of this will dissipate and leave the area on Wednesday. So give us a call. I'd love to have somebody call because it takes, like I said, a little of the pressure off my throat. I'll listen to you. Give me a jingle, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. You know, Gina, you can help me a little bit if you would. I'd be much appreciated. What do you think about the left trying to literally tell you and me and everybody else, hey, we'll take as many people that are refugees, we'll take as many people that are immigrants, open the floodgates, let them all in. Who's going to pay for all this?
That's a good question because we have a lot of homeless veterans living on the streets right now. I'd rather pay for them than some immigrant. And I hate to say that, but it's honestly the fact. You know, I would rather support those who have fought for our country, who are living on the streets by the hundreds of thousands, than support other people that we don't have the dollars to support.
Well, you know, I got to revert back to what John Zemerick was talking about just a few moments ago, and he gave a quote from a gentleman that was really, Kurt Schlichter is his name, and he said, quote, America is morally obligated to take anybody who wants to come to the United States. I don't see it that way. Anybody? We're morally obligated? Okay. Then they should be skilled. They should be self-sufficient. They should have a job. They shouldn't have to be on my dime or yours as a welfare recipient. And I'm drawing the line and saying enough is enough.
Exactly. You know, there's got to be a point in time where we say, all right, you know, we can't handle anymore. We can't afford to pay for the people and support the people that we have right now. So time out, people. And if you're going to bring anybody over, please make sure that you are going to be contributing to the economics of the country, because if you can't, we can't support you.
What is there roughly right now? 364 million people living here in this United States. Is that pretty close?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I know we have a call, but I want you to respond to this. But, Gina, look at the environment. Look at what we have for welfare systems. Look at our schools. Look at our roads, our infrastructure. And really, when you think about all the money that is going to help support people that are coming into this country, look at all the other items that are being pushed on the wayside that are going to be causing a slow erosion of our infrastructure for everyone in the future.
Not only for the infrastructure, but, you know, okay, so let's revert back to the 8 o'clock hour when Doug called in and was talking to him talking about his dad.
Right.
That diverts funding from the VA hospitals as well.
That's right.
Let's take care of our own folks before we bring anybody else that we have to, you know, support.
Amen. Do we have a call?
Yes.
All right. Caller, good morning, and thank you for your call. Go ahead, please.
You know, when we have countries that they go rogue and we don't like what they're doing along with other countries, we put sanctions on them or we take away something that we're giving them. Now, when we have, let's say, cities like Rahm Emanuel's Chicago wanting to make that a welcoming city, we the people or the governor of that state, can't they put sanctions on that city, you know, as to say, snap out of it? Or a state that's going rogue, can't the president put sanctions on them to take something away from them, to say, hey, snap out of it?
Absolutely. You know, let me ask you something in return to what you just brought up. When you hear the terminology sanctuary city, what are your thoughts? What is the first thought that goes through your mind when you hear the term sanctuary city?
Mistake.
And what else?
Well, I mean, you know, it's just you're opening the door. You're saying, come on in. And, you know, you aren't checking them out like you should.
There you go. You just touched...
Yeah, if you're illegal, come in.
Yeah, you just touched on what I wanted to ask you about. Basically, the terminology sanctuary city tells me, oh, we don't care about the federal law. We don't care about the American Constitution. You just come on into our little Wizard of Oz, and we'll follow the yellow brick road, and we'll protect you, no matter if you're a serial killer, a bank robber, or illegal 20 times and have run over someone. We're going to protect you. It's absolutely lawlessness personified.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
But what are we going to do to stop it?
I'm just wondering if that's a course that they could take.
Yeah. What did you think, quickly, caller? I respect your call. What did you think when you heard me, hopefully earlier this morning, talking about the state of Maryland that wants to make it legal for illegals to vote?
Yeah, there's no sense in, well, the name, illegal aliens. No, it's just like, felons shouldn't have a right to vote. You have to be a citizen here to be able to vote for what happens in this country.
God bless you for your call. I really appreciate the time and effort that you took to call in this morning. I'm just a little bit short on time now going to the news, but call me again. I appreciate your thoughts and comments. Thank you so much. I personally think close the door and scrutinize every situation. I don't care what the left says. I certainly don't care what the likes of Jennifer Rubin says in her article that always appears in the Times News, almost kind of an underwriting of her idiocy. And we've got to start drawing some lines in the sand as to who's going to come here, under what pretense, and who's going to fit the bill. I want to remind you the Jerome County Fair and Rodeo. Oh, my goodness sakes. Great big event going on over there this week. And don't forget, too, that their PRCA rodeo starts tomorrow night. It's family night tomorrow night. 12 and under is free. Wednesday night is 4-H and FFA night. And Thursday night over at Jerome, Tough Enough to Wear Pink night. Oh, they're going to have the cream of the crop coming in for competition at that PRCA rodeo at the Jerome County Fairgrounds. And don't forget, so many things going on. They're going to also have bloodless bullfights on Friday night, and then they're going to have that big tractor pull on Saturday night. My goodness sakes, all of this and more going on at the Jerome County Fair and Rodeo in Jerome. Don't you miss it. Thank you for your calls. Next hour, I've got a guest by the name of John Legato. We're going to be talking about his new book and also other worldly circumstances. And then at 10:30, it's an open forum. You can call in and save my voice. Boy, the old smoke's thick out there. Be careful. Zeb at the Ranch, we're going to send it back over to Gina right now for CBS News. Don't go away. Well, good morning and welcome back. Zeb at the Ranch with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, and our great advertisers like Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Call them at 734-6969. Gina, a favor, if you could turn up the feed line to me just a little bit. All of a sudden during the news and everything, it went down a little bit. If you could, I'd appreciate it. Thank you. I want to, right now, before we get our guest on the phone, I want to talk to you a little bit about our segment that we have on Thursdays called Cassia County School Days. Every Thursday for about 3-4 years now, we've had this segment, and it's a great one to let you know all about the education in our area. And it's brought to you by A Child's World at 1308 Overland in Burley. They have got all the new fall clothes. Fall clothes are in already, my goodness sakes. And they've got all the books and the toys and the puzzles for the young ones and all the baby clothing and the furniture. It's all there at A Child's World, 1308 Overland in Burley, along with the Ambulatory Surgery Center at 1344 Highland Avenue, Suite E in Burley. Don't forget Ambulatory Surgery Center for your outpatient surgeries like colonoscopies, cataract surgery, and much more. Call them and find out how they can save you money. 677-8888. That number again, 677-8888. Ambulatory Surgery Center and A Child's World, bringing you on Thursdays, school days in Cassia County. Well, I've had this man on the program with us in the past and does a great job, and I'd like to introduce everybody to John Legato. Good morning, John. How are you?
Good morning, Zeb. How's it going?
Not too bad. Before I do anything else, I want to talk a little bit about your book, your brand new book. Give us a little background, the title, and all the interesting intricacies, and tell us where we can pick up your book.
Yeah, the book is The Near Enemy, and it deals with lone wolf terrorists who are going to be the problem now that ISIS has lost its territory. And what it's about is a lot about what the government obstructs law enforcement from catching lone wolf terrorists. They put a bunch of obstacles in the way, and it's a group of former Marines who are now law enforcement officers, and they break a few rules. But the frightening thing is I use real-life incidents and go into how we could have prevented it if we can do things like surveil mosque or do other investigative techniques that we're not allowed to do. And you can get it on Amazon or Simon & Schuster, Barnes & Noble. It's called The Near Enemy, and it's a frightening book only because it's supposed to be fiction, but it's basically not.
John, I've got to ask you, in your research for the book, and you probably know a lot more than the average American citizen about what's going on, what might go on, and what is brewing behind the scenes. Why are we so naive? Why are we so open to bringing these people here and letting them create a potential future problem? Why are we so stupid?
If I could answer that, I'd probably be... No, I was going to say Washington, but I wouldn't be in Washington if I was that smart. But I don't know. I think of a lot of it as political correctness. Like, for example, President Obama restricted law enforcement from surveilling mosque. And we know that a majority of radicalization goes on at mosque. And the Boston Marathon bomber, I can go on. But that makes no sense. I mean... a Catholic church would welcome you, has nothing to hide.
Right.
We have this thing called the watch list, and everybody thinks that, and there's like hundreds of thousands of people on this watch list who are suspected of some kind of terrorist activities or sympathy. And every day we're waving into the United States at our ports of entry people on the watch list, because it's not a stop list, and nobody's watching them. And I can go on, but we are a combination of naive and politically correct.
Absolutely. John, one of the subjects I wanted to talk to you about this morning is this Mueller problem as an investigating unit against Donald Trump, and the time, the effort, the money. This thing is going to get completely out of hand. Should Donald Trump fire Mr. Mueller?
Yeah, immediately. And, there's cause. So he's not just doing this for political purposes. He can get before the American public and say, I fired Director Mueller today, or Special Counsel Mueller, under Section D of the Special Counsel statute, which spells out conflict of interest. He has a conflict of interest with Director Comey, who is either going to be a witness or a subject in this investigation, and also for cause by gathering individual 16 or 17 attorneys that are skewed so one way, ideological. So that's why I'm firing him for cause. But I'm not getting rid of the special counsel statute, because I want to find out, if Russia interfered in the election, whatever he wants to say at that point. So he's not getting rid of the special counsel, but he's getting rid of Mueller for cause. And Democrats would take a hissy fit for a week and then move on.
Why hasn't this been done? Why are the Republicans, in your opinion, John, as milquetoast and spineless as they have been to speak up and speak out against all this garbage the Democrats have tried to perpetrate for the last 7.5 months?
I don't know. We have the majority, and I know this one thing, that if the Democrats had the majority, they would have been passing, basically a law every day or some kind of statute or obstruction. And so I don't know why we are. Maybe because, some of them are decent human beings and they're misguided. But I can't answer that one either.
When you look at this overall picture of investigating Donald Trump, and every part of the media, with the exception of one or two sources like Fox News, etc., they've been highly critical every single day, denigrating and running this president down, and I don't see how this situation is going to change for the tenure of his 4 years. Do you?
No. The problem, too, with this grand jury is I racked my brain to come up with one grand jury that I either testified in or any other agent that I knew testified in or any other case that I knew that did not result in an indictment. So if any of your listeners know of any grand jury that has not resulted in an indictment, the mere fact that you call a grand jury and the mere fact that you present evidence means that, 99 out of 100 times somebody's getting indicted. So we're going to have to deal with that for the next 3.5 years, and I would guess that General Flynn, Manafort, Trump Jr., even Attorney General Sessions are going to have some legal problems.
Let me ask you this, and I've often wondered, listening to the newscasts and everything, about Mueller and the investigation and the grand jury and the looking into Trump's past. Well, Trump's past is a businessman's past. Yes, he dealt with all people from all walks of life in all various countries. Where is the legality for a businessman to be investigated for something he was doing as a private citizen?
Well, they have no governor. They have no restrictions on this. They say they do, and they say that if they go outside of the scope of the special counsel, they need permission, but they really don't. So here's the problem. I was not a white-collar FBI agent. I was organized crime and covert ops. But a squad of white-collar FBI agents, which they have on Mueller's special counsel task force, will pour over thousands of pages of financial documents involving casinos and real estate acquisitions. There's no way that they won't come up with something, a tax evasion or a misfiling or some obscure financial Title 18 violation. And that's going to be the problem for the president. And not only the president, but they've subpoenaed Kushner's financial dealings. We don't know we do know those two, even though it's supposed to be secret. So there'll be indictments.
So the Democrats and the liberals, with their dragging their knuckles in the sand, they're going to win. They're going to destroy this presidency. They're going to destroy the hope that America could be made great again, purely because they're going to try to look in every cat box for the litter.
Yeah. There's no collusion. I mean, I don't know that for a fact. There's no collusion, but once you start down that road of looking into people's businesses, especially, white-collar stuff, because there's a paper trail, and that's going to be the problem for any of us. I mean, if I was in the Marine Corps, too. There was I remember a UCMJ thing, conduct unbecoming. And you can, if you wanted to pin that on anybody, you could. I'm not to say they did it in the military, but what I'm saying is, if you look hard enough, you're going to find something.
Well, in that regard, then, why aren't we or other groups of the Republican Party, why aren't they forming investigatory groups to study Obama with the money that was going to the left, different groups and associates to the left? Hillary with her emails, still not a done deal. Why are we letting these issues die?
I don't know. I mean, the Democrats have so much exposure, criminal exposure. Susan Rice, Eric Holder, Uma Abedin, Cheryl Mills, Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, the continuing criminal enterprise, the Clinton Foundation. We've had attorney generals lie. We have attorney generals obstruct justice. Loretta Lynch. We have Lois Lerner, who just got her pension. I mean, you're absolutely right. I don't know why. I do know that I doubt that the Clinton Foundation is under investigation. I doubt that Hillary is under investigation. I don't know why it's selective prosecution.
John, this is speculation on my point. You're an author and you look into these situations so you can create a book. But when you look at the situation with politics today in this country, the Clinton Foundation and Clinton, of course, meeting kind of in a very clandestine type meeting with Loretta Lynch on the airport tarmac in Phoenix, and all the other subversive things that are going on, has big money, almost like a mob or a mafia, has that taken over our politics, in your opinion?
Oh, it has. It really has. I mean, Lady Justice had blindfolds on until about 10 years ago, and somebody just ripped them off, and it's a very much selective prosecution and big money. Yeah, I don't know why. A great example is Eric Holder was asked, did he know anything about the James Rosen affidavit? Under oath on television, he said, I know nothing about it. They bring him back a month later, and they show him his signature on the actual affidavit. And he says, oh, that. You know, it's like you and I would be eating off metal trays in Lewisburg if we had done that.
It's so true. I mean, they're getting away with everything. But as an American citizen and a taxpayer, I say enough is enough. I'm more worried about the economy. I'm more worried about our security with a rogue agent like North Korea. I'm more concerned about today. I'm certainly not concerned about what happened with a visit over dinner with a Russian diplomat.
Well, all of that, the Russian, they use collusion. It's not a legal term, but none of that is illegal, by the way. Donald Trump Jr. could have met with 15 KGB agents in that meeting, and it wouldn't be illegal unless he co-conspired to take that meeting further in some criminal way. You know what I mean? The meeting itself, or Director Sessions, Attorney General Sessions, met with the Russian ambassador. None of that is illegal. None of that is illegal. But the inference is that they met and hatched a plan to hurt the United States. So none of that's going anywhere. But the problem is, like, for example, two attorneys can look at a set of facts like obstruction of justice and come to two different conclusions. And those are the things that Mueller's special counsel, that worries me, is that they can look at statutes and say, yes, I see a criminal act there. I take the elements and it fits. So that's what we got to worry about, is their interpretation of the law. Mm-hmm. And we already know that they're ideologically bent to see that. So it's going to be an interesting 3.5 years.
I want to go back to your book for a minute, because you said something earlier that really piqued my interest when you were talking about the lack of controlling land by ISIS anymore, and that there's probably going to be, and I'm putting this in my own words, more of the lone wolf activity around the globe of ISIS and terrorism. But basically, isn't it all underneath the network of ISIS? Aren't they controlled about what they do and how they try to do something by a network and a grouping head?
Yeah, ISIS sends out 90,000 hits into the ethersphere every day for recruitment.
Oh, my.
And what they're actually have telling people is, don't come here anymore. We want you to commit jihad in your homeland. So over the next few years, we're going to see a definite increase in lone wolf attacks. And the government can actually mitigate them if they would just take the handcuffs off of law enforcement and allow this encryption thing. They need law enforcement to go onto the dark web and follow these people without getting a FISA warrant every time somebody, switches from Facebook to the Dawn of Glad Tidings, which is a terrorist website. And we need to either make the watch list the stop list or get rid of it.
What about?
There's about 9 things in my book that we can do to mitigate lone wolf terrorism.
But it's going to take it's going to take somebody or some group on the right, the conservatives, the Republicans, if you will, to lead the charge. And quite frankly, I got to tell you, even with our own congressman right here in the state of Idaho, the naive attitude about the Muslim problem and about the ISIS problem, I don't think these politicians really understand. What are your thoughts?
I agree with you, and I think it's going to take a bunch of Americans in body bags for them to do something. And it's unfortunate, but that's my opinion, is they will not do any. Look at with the Congressman Scalise that got shot. We had one day of, okay, we're working together to solve this problem.
Yeah.
The day after that, it was, we're on this side, you're on that side, and we're not going to meet in the middle or even anywhere near the middle. So it's going to take Americans in body bags.
And that is a tough pill to swallow, but I have a tendency to agree with you. Last question here for this morning, John. In your book, every book that's fiction based on fact or whatever has to have some kind of an ending. Is your book a happy ending, one that we wake up from our naivete and we are able to fight the enemy and overcome it? What do you think about the future? The way we're doing things now, I don't see how we can ever win.
Well, without giving away the ending,
yeah, right.
It's not a happy ending. And I'm basically an optimist, but I'm just so, like you are, frustrated. And the ending of the book just comes to the conclusion is they won. And when asked who is they, it's them. It's the government, ISIS, and they all won and we lost. And I hope I'm not right with that, but that's the ending of the book.
John, when you were doing the research for the book, though, what was the most, I would say, shocking thing that you learned that you didn't know before writing the book?
About 20 things. One thing is there was this guy that was involved in the planning of the 1991 or 93 World Trade Center bombing that was with the Egyptian Army, and then he left the Egyptian Army, but he came to the U.S. and studied under our special forces. Then he went and joined the CIA, and the CIA sent him to Hezbollah, and then Hezbollah kicked him out. And the guy ends up, now he was a major in the Egyptian Army, and this is all true. He ends up at Special Forces sergeant, an American Army sergeant in Fayetteville. And how that happened, I don't know, but that one chapter in my book is true. And when the agents went down to interview him, when they finally found out that this Army sergeant in the Special Warfare School was an Egyptian major who was also with the CIA and Hezbollah, he disappeared. And then he's been responsible for some serious attacks, planning attacks on the U.S. So there's every chapter has something like, we could have prevented the Boston Marathon bombing is one chapter, because Tamerlan was saying he was going to do it a year before in his mosque. And the Russians said, this guy went to terrorist training school, a year ago, and we did nothing.
Is it because of the regulatory means and methods that we're having employed, or is it because of a naivete, or is it just lackadaisical attitude? What really is the problem here?
All those three things, and the fourth thing is we're afraid to hurt feelings. We're afraid to hurt feelings. We're afraid to profile. I mean, this is a great investigative technique, so we can't do that. But the problem really is that, if you go out and interview somebody and you have information that they've been, fooling around with terrorists, that's not against the law to associate with. You can only put them under surveillance. And to be honest with you, it takes 12 FBI agents to surveil somebody for 24-hour period.
Wow.
We don't have enough agents. So you either snatch them up and then the ACLU and CAR would, you'd be you'd lose your job, or you wait until they act, because you can't watch them all.
The common citizenry in this country, it would appear to me, we have got to turn into our own watchdogs and demand to the authorities that something get done immediately. Is that true?
It is, and that's a great example of somebody not hurting feelings. There was a woman neighbor of the San Bernardino, the husband and wife, that knew something was going on. I don't know if you remember this.
Yes, I do.
And after they killed those people, they said, "Why didn't you call somebody?" And she said, basically, I didn't want to be seen as a racist, or and so that's where we're at.
I really enjoy having you on the program, John. I wish you the best of success with your book called Near Enemy. John Legato, USMC, retired, former deep cover FBI special agent. You are welcome here anytime, sir. Thank you for your time this morning.
Yeah, thank you. Always enjoy it.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. John Legato and his book called Near Enemy. It's a great book, and I'm looking forward to picking up a copy and having him back to talk about it further. Thank you very much. Hey, we've got some of the great merchants that are inviting you to the Cassia County Fair and Rodeo. They include Burley Veterinary Hospital at 2869 Overland Avenue in Burley. The staff at the Burley Vet Hospital would like to wish everybody going to the Cassia County Fair a lot of good luck to all the 4-H'ers and the FFA. And, of course, at Burley Veterinary Clinic, they have 2 doctors, and they do a great job, and they will see you at the Cassia County Fair. Burley Veterinary Hospital in Burley. Perkins Bakery and Restaurant. I'm having a hard time choking on my smoke this morning. Perkins Bakery and Restaurant, 800 North Overland in Burley. What a great place to go eat. Located at the Burley Inn, and believe me, easy to get to. They're right off the Burley exit. Enjoy a great meal at Perkins Bakery and Restaurant. Stop over there during the fair at Perkins and enjoy great eating. Don't forget, too, Bedke Treasure Barn at 1558 Normal Avenue in Burley. They've got all kinds of unique things over there, all the way from pool tables to salon barber chairs to clothing and all kinds of different football jerseys and equipment, welding equipment. Holy cow, they've got a lot at Bedke Treasure Barn, 1558 Normal Avenue in Burley, and they welcome you to the Cassia County Fair and Rodeo. Right now, we're going to send it over to our main studios. I'll be back with my last guest right after this.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
I thank you much, and we're into the last segment of our program this morning. And I'll tell you what, they always say they save the best for last, and I agree, because I have with us on the program a gentleman that kind of jumped in without much notice to take over this last segment. And I have the utmost respect for him and his writing ability. His name is Dan Perkins, and he has written a book called The Brotherhood of the Red Nile, A Terrorist Perspective. Good morning, Dan. How are you?
I'm fine. Thank you, sir. Happy to be able to help you.
You know, Dan, I appreciate you coming on here, and you have so much insight as to what's going on around the globe, but I want you, if you would, to kind of give us, in layman's terminology, the mess that's going on over in Venezuela and how bad you perceive this, and why in the world would Obama, when he was president, look at that and say, oh, Venezuela is paradise?
Well, not only did Obama say that, so did Bernie Sanders and most of the Democratic Party, which is one of the reasons why, Zeb, you don't have much coverage in the mainstream media, because the utopia that Bernie and the rest of the Democrats were talking about is turned into hell, and they don't know what to do about it, and nobody seems to know what to do about it. So we have a situation where when Chavez became president, he nationalized the oil industry. And that was okay when crude oil was above $100 a barrel. Then he died, and his assistant took over, and crude oil prices started in November, actually in June of 2014, began to slide, and they took it all the way to $26 in February of 2016. And so what's happened is that the country that was 65 to 70% dependent upon revenue from crude oil sales to fund the government and to take care of the people disappeared. And one of the ramifications of Chavez nationalizing the oil industry, most of the refineries and pipeline systems were run by foreign nationals who were employees of the oil companies that owned the processing of the oil, the refineries, the chemical plants. They left, and Venezuela didn't have anybody to run the plants and maintain the plants, because the crude oil in Venezuela is what is called a very sticky crude, and has to be refined in a totally different way. And so what happened was they couldn't export any or minimal amounts of crude oil. And now we have a situation for the last year or so. Venezuela, who has some of the richest oil reserves in the world, because of Utopia and the failure of Utopia, finds itself now in a position where it's a net importer of crude oil. The inflation is over 700%.
Oh, my.
The entire population, because of a lack of food, has lost about 20 pounds over the last year. The power is on intermittently. And the people got involved, and last weekend there was a skirmish where some civilians and some former military raided what we would call the equivalent of a National Guard armory to try and get weapons, and they were quickly overpowered by the military. It's a very, very sad situation when a country which had democracy moved to socialism to create utopia, and utopia is turned into hell.
Dan, I've had a very good friend that lives in Twin Falls that is from Venezuela. He used to do all my videography for my TV show. His family still all lives down there. How bad is the situation as compared to what would it take to solve the problem? Or is it right now an unsolvable problem?
Because that's a great question. Because the economy is so dependent on the exportation of crude oil, in order to solve the problem, I'm not sure that in both cases, both problems, Venezuela can only do something about one, potentially. They can't control the price of crude oil in the global markets. That's a matter of supply and demand. But instead of being an importing country, if they could get their oil wells back online and their refineries back online, producing so that they could sell in the global markets, they could generate revenue. But in order for that to happen, they're going to have to abandon socialism. And I just don't see that happening as long as the current head of the state is still there, because he basically says he's a communist. And the country is a communist nation. So, with they're not being able to control the price of crude oil, and probably are not going to be able to, under their dictator relationship, get anybody from any oil company anywhere in the world to come in and try and work with them. So the only thing they can do is continue to decline and decline and decline until such time as the people decide there has to be regime change. And that's what it's going to take.
Now, that being said, though, Dan, first thing that comes to my mind is, what about the other neighboring countries? What about the other neighboring governments? What about the other neighboring regimes? What kind of a domino effect could this cause in that entire region?
Well, one of the things that's somewhat positive is that most of their neighbors are taking in the immigrants who are fleeing the country just to buy food or whatever, and staying. How much longer that will stay depends on how long it takes the government to change direction. If it doesn't change direction and the number of immigrants continues to rise, I would expect to see a situation where the borders start to be being closed because of the amount of immigrants coming out of Venezuela going into neighbors like Peru. I just don't think that they'll put up with it.
What is the cause and effect of this political upheaval going on in Venezuela with the Trump administration and his opposition to the liberal left? I mean, how do all these fingers come together in the pie?
Well, what happened was that, if you recall, Mr. Trump did not request any more sanctions against the country. He put sanctions against the president. And I think what he's doing, he's sending a message to the Venezuelan people, but he's also, I think, sending a message to the North Korean people. And that is, we understand your plight, we are sympathetic to your plight, and we're going to try and help change things. And so what we have now is, if you look at what's going on in Venezuela and look at what's happening to people in North Korea, you're finding very, very similar things. The president is using the bulk of the money to fund the military and his defense projects. The food is going to the soldiers first. Whatever left over goes to the civilians. They have the same problem with power. They are net importers, and they are a net importer of crude oil. Their power grid is down about 50% of the time. So there are very similar problems, and we have dictators in both places. So I think that the message that the president did when he said he was putting the embargo on the president of Venezuela, he was also sending a message of solidarity to the civilians in North Korea. We support you. We know that you want to have a different life and different leadership. So I think it was more a statement of his conscience and his desire to want to help people than it was any kind of a military or major economic sanctions.
Dan, what about Kim Jong-un? He made the statement, and I'm paraphrasing it, that now you want to impose these sanctions on us and cost us $1 billion. Well, we're going to come back at you 10,000 times over, and he made the inference with a nuclear war or nuclear holocaust. What do you think of this guy? I mean, is he really ready to push the button?
Great question. My inclination is that he is a paranoid schizophrenic, and yes, he's ready to push the button. Whether it'll do anything, whether they'll fly anywhere or do anything, but he is. I'm in fact writing an article right now on North Korea, and let me give you a couple of quick numbers. The gross domestic product of the country of North Korea is equal to the gross domestic product of Reno, Nevada.
Oh, my.
Reno, Nevada. They export approximately $2.6 billion annually. They import about $3.8 billion annually. Their largest trading partner is Communist China for about 90% of their trade. Their exports are coal, which now China's no longer buying. It's 34% of their entire GDP. So that's going to put some more pressure on Kim. They import almost all of their own crude oil because they don't have a source for it. So there are a lot of things that are going on that we are not getting information in our media to understand that, for example, the rockets that he's testing, most of the scientists now who have looked at the rockets and taken the dimensions say that the rockets are not big enough to carry an intercontinental nuclear weapon all the way to the United States. So they have to bring another generation of rockets with much greater horsepower to drive them and get them here. So that he's spending more and more of his assets, less and less on his people. His people are getting hungrier and hungrier. And again, there's another case where they may overthrow. I think the significant events happened over the weekend when the United Nations Security Council voted 15-0, which means that China and Russia voted in favor of additional sanctions against North Korea because of their testing. And let me put one other thing in perspective for you. I said that the gross domestic product of China is about, or of North Korea is about $20 billion a year. The amount of exports that they send, 90% of those exports, dollar amount, go to China. The total exports of the entire country of North Korea in 1 year equal to the exports from China to the United States in 2 days.
Oh, my.
2 days. 2 days. So I think the fact that the Chinese and the Russians supported the UN referendum, I'm about to introduce another alternative of what we should be doing there, and that is an embargo of the country.
Absolutely.
There are 5 ports, of which 2 are major deepwater ports for shipping. If we embargo those ports, anything that was coming in by ship or going out by ship will not happen. Between the Russians and the Chinese, there are 400,000 troops on the ground at the northern border, which could stop the shipment of stuff coming north of the border. So you cut out his oil supply, you're going to put him in very significant difficulty. So I think that what America needs to do is to have an announcement of what I'm suggesting, and that is an economic embargo to stop the shipping and the export of everything going in and everything coming out of North Korea. We may not have to do that because the sheer mention about it and the credibility about it and where they would station ships may change his mind.
You know, Dan, that's why I keep calling you to see if you can't come on the program. Your insight and your knowledge of what's going on is not seconded by anybody. You are at the top of the pile. Dan Perkins with his book, The Brotherhood of the Red Nile, and believe me, I'm going to call you back and have you again in the future. Thank you so much for sharing with us this morning.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Absolutely an excellent guest and the author of the book called The Brotherhood of the Red Nile, Dan Perkins, and he knows these situations that are going on around the globe. I know that I've got to get a weather forecast on here real quick, and the weather is brought to you by Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. The number to call, 324-7657. ScarrowsMeats.com and their retail meat department, delicious with all the different meats, especially like the breakfast sausages, the bratwurst and everything, and that buckboard bacon, leaner and more economical than traditional bacon in several different flavors. It's good at Scarrows Meats. Right now, here's the lovely Gina with the weather.
Well, we still are in that air quality advisory due to all of the smoke in our area because of all of the wildfires burning in our area. So if you have some upper respiratory issues, you might want to take note of that and limit your outdoor time because the smoke is going to be lasting for the next couple of days. Other than that, we are looking at partly cloudy skies for today, a little bit on the breezy side, winds out of the northeast, 5 to 10 miles an hour. High of 83 for today. Tonight, that smoke is going to continue with a low of 58. We do have a slight chance of rain showers or thunderstorms for this afternoon. And going on into tomorrow, looks like areas of smoke, slight chance of rain showers or thunderstorms as well. High of 83. Right now, we are sitting at 68.
Thank you, Gina. You know, it's weird having you do the weather live. I love it, but thank you very much.
You're so welcome.
Oh, appreciate it. Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome with Don Scarrow and the rest of the crew. 324-7657. Delicious meats. Stop over. Give them a call. They are changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. Delicious. By the way, don't forget Cassia County Fair and Rodeo, and their great big concert this year is going to be on Saturday, August 12th, coming up in a matter of days. You better get your tickets. And I'm telling you what, they've got some outstanding entertainment this year. I do know most of the information about these guys, and they can sing. Ned Ledoux and Aaron Watson. You are going to be entertained. That's it. You're going to be entertained, flat. You're going to love it. And great music at the concert for the Cassia County Fair and Rodeo. Get your tickets now, and ticket prices are $20 a piece. And I want to remind you, call the Cassia County Fair office and get your tickets for this big concert coming up at 8 p.m. Saturday, August 12th at the Cassia County Fairgrounds. I was talking to Gina earlier this morning, and we were talking about the new dialing for your phone calls in Idaho. And now you must dial all 10 digits, and they are like the area code plus the number. You know something, Gina? This started last Friday, and I got to be honest with you, all weekend long I ended up cursing myself because I had forgot every single time to put the prefix 208 on there.
Yeah, when I've been calling, guests to get them on the phone today, especially the local ones, dialing the 208 is kind of a hindrance for me. Plus, now I've got to go into my cell phone and make sure that all of the area codes are already pre-programmed in.
I never thought about that. Thank you. Yeah. I appreciate that.
Cell phone, fax machines, any sort of digital device that you use to call out, you have to start putting in the area code, which, by the way, that took effect on Saturday, and so now any new phone number that is issued here within the state of Idaho will have that new prefix of 986.
Right there, I've got to ask you a question. Right there's my question. Pardon my rude intrusion, but you kind of piqued my interest right there. Why couldn't that new 986 been a used prefix and leave the rest of the 208 callers alone?
Well, see... so it's a new prefix, and it's only going to be used for brand new phone numbers.
Okay.
So existing phone numbers, things like that, phone numbers that have been, the old 208s that have, not been in use, they'll still reissue those. But for any brand new phone number, because they said that Idaho ran out of phone numbers, which I have no clue as to why we would do that. I mean, there seems to be a bazillion different combinations for 208.
Yeah.
However, any new phone number that will be issued from here on out will have the new prefix of 986.
I guess
and that will go statewide. Because you know how in some states, like in Washington, they've got, I think, now 4 different prefixes, 425, 253, 206, and 509. Those are divided out by area. I think in Idaho it would have been nice, but I don't think that they could really do that because 208 encompassed the entire state.
Yeah. I know that I was calling Toby, my daughter, yesterday, and she lives 8 miles from my front door. And this lovely voice comes on the phone and says, "We're sorry, but you cannot dial this number as you did. You must call 208. And I thought, I forgot again.
But see, here's the thing. It says, okay, you must now dial the prefix.
Yeah.
So then my habit is to automatically dial the 1208.
Oh, yeah, me too.
And so I dialed 1208, and they're like, no, please do not dial A1 when trying to dial this phone number. It's like, would you guys please make up your mind?
Why do they have to keep telling us all the day long what to do and what not to do? I'm sick of it.
Yes. Okay, so for the local calls, you have to dial 208.
Yeah.
For the long-distance calls, it's 1208.
Okay, can I start over this last 7 minutes that I've talked to you?
You betcha.
Who really cares?
I know. Well, apparently the Public Utilities Commission, they just kind of wanted to be a thorn in our back.
I guess.
They have been kind of informing the public for the past 2 years that this is impending.
But I guess impending is one word, but then on the other side, with my German upbringing and my grandpa and grandma always questioning everything, was it really necessary?
I don't think so.
Okay. I want to tell you thank you for sitting in and filling in and doing a tremendous job, as always. I miss the old days with you, lady.
It was fun, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And being able to sit at the board, it kind of brings me back, to everything that I know and love about radio, because this is what Scotty and I do, trust me, is fun, and I absolutely love being on the morning show, but I don't get to run the board.
Oh.
And I'm not as technically prominent there because Scotty's the one that runs the board, and I'm just, the other mouthpiece on the other microphone. And so for this, it's a little bit more, I get to be more a part of the show, but I'm more behind the scenes. And so, it helps me hone my skills and not forget where I came
you
from.
are so much appreciated. But again, I want to reiterate our prayers. And I mean that everybody say a prayer for our buddy Wheels, that he will come back and be A-okay.
And I will let you know as soon as I know whether he is going to be back on the show tomorrow or not.
All right, I'm going to wrap it up by saying get where you're going this summer and turn around and come home safely with the tires from your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations. And it's not just the tires. I mean, they really care about your driving safety with the best of brake service. They've got the most highly trained brake technicians. They know brakes. They know front-end alignments. You don't want to be going north and end up going south. I mean, for heaven's sakes, check out the alignment, the front ends on your car. And, of course, the shocks and the struts and the batteries, all of this and more for your safe driving. They really, really care. 7 locations: Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Pole Line in Twin Falls, and my buddy Randy on Overland and Burley. They care. Stop in, get where you're going this summer, and then come home safely with the tires and the great service from your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Holy cow, we're out of time. Again, my sincere thank yous to a lovely lady, Gina, for filling in today. Our prayers go to Wheels. Hope he's feeling better. We'll be back tomorrow morning at 8:06 with more Zeb at the Ranch on K-Bar, 12:30 a.m., and then streaming live all over the universe on ZebBell.com. Always remember this: the way things were are the way things ought to be. See you tomorrow morning. God bless.